what's up YouTube? We're going to do a PIX paint job. Been kind of postponing this one as my bench has been full, but I'm about at a point where I can put a little time into this thing. So I can't decide if I'm just going to do like a bronze distressed look, maybe run some paint drips down it. Don't know yet. Might play around with that. Might do bronze with some inset color, different kind of bronze, or maybe a silver or a gold. Not really sure. Still working on that idea, but we're going to go ahead and take this thing apart and get ready for paint. In a previous video, one of the things I talked about was the trigger flex, and although that is still a little bit of a thing because it's plastic, one of the things I started really digging into is the way that the mechanical safety functions and the way the channels are built on the opposite side. And so what I learned was when it is fully closed, this channel actually locks the trigger up pretty well. So I was trying to figure out if there was a way I could put something in here, but then this gets put in place. I also noticed that they go in and they hand cut a lot of this to fit it properly so that it gets the better trigger. The only thing I can see is maybe this right here where this drops down. I might put a little adhesive pad in there, because if you hold that right there, it gets straighter back versus it flexing down. But I don't know. I didn't find the trigger pull to be that bad. You're pulling a long thing, and I'm using a Glock 22, so it's not a great trigger to pull to begin with. But we're going to go ahead and take this thing apart and start working on some paint. So I am going to pull the pin out of the back of this piece. I'm going to do that first. But let me get everything together when we'll get started, okay? Okay, so I'm going to be punching this pin out back here. And I happen to have, probably be easier if I take the grip off, but I should be fine like this. I'm just going to tap that right out. It is a plastic pin. That should allow this to pop right off. Nice and easy. So then we'll work on, everything else here is one part. So we're just going to work on getting this little C-clip out right here. We'll deal with that. Let me not lose that plastic pin. This is just held in with 2 screws. And you just got to be careful when you put them back in. You'll have to play with it because these 2 screws add tension to the trigger. And what I found was this return spring is so light that if you get it too tight at all, this what looks like a big pin spring won't return it. So I'm going to be seeing if I can find a little bit more heavy duty spring. Now of course the heavier the spring, the heavier your trigger pull, so got to have a nice little balance there. So all in all, I think they did a pretty good job there. Yeah, so the only thing we have left are getting these guys off, and they're just pressured on, so they just pop right off like that. They're definitely on there. This one is going to go like that right there. That's it. We'll take our grip off. That's our body. That's our body. So let's look at, I think you probably know how to take a grip off. Now this C-clip is in here. There's a couple ways we can go about this. I don't know if this is going to be good enough to get in there. Yep, that's all I needed right there. Use my pick. Try to keep this thing so I don't send it flying. There's my C-clip, which will allow our safety to come out. Cool. This whole mechanism comes out. We'll just need to make sure that when you put it back in, you put it back in the right way. And I will probably polish that a little bit just to get a smoother run right there. But like you've probably seen in a couple of videos, it starts off really stiff, but that thing loosened up a lot even after just a little bit of use. That's it. Now, one of the things that they just added that I think I'm going to go ahead and order is the metal guard that comes out of the end right here. And not only is it cool because it gives you the protection, especially if you have a shorter barreled pistol in here, but it looks dope. So I'm going to probably go ahead and order that. I think it's 40 bucks. But we'll get that. And the next plan will be to get this in the blast cabinet and get it prepped for paint. And then we'll start laying out a design on what I want to do. See you in a moment. All right, all the parts are blasted and ready to go. So I can start determining what parts are what. So I know I'm either going to use a stainless steel or a titanium. Not really sure. Probably titanium because it's a little more dull. But I've got a royal bronze. Got a little bit more of the kind of the greenish bronze, gold, and either stainless or titanium, and that's just for the accent. So we'll probably do the safety selector. At least these two. The top one's probably going to stay black. I think I'm going to leave the rail black. The charging handle, I'm probably going to do this square right here. And we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And the most of the body is going to be the bronze. And then I'm trying to determine if I'm going to try and tape this off, but the lines get a little weird down here. This side's a little bit more simplified. We'll see. We'll play around. Give it a little bit of a block out. And then the back will just be a main color, maybe a color fill with a silver. We'll see. Anyway, it's laid out. It's ready to go. I'm going to start painting pieces at a time, and we'll start kind of pulling the design out that we want to get out of it. All right, so we got stainless steel down on the body. It actually looks kind of cool like this. It's kind of wild when you can actually see all the cuts and shapes and texture to everything. We got the charging handle is going to be stainless, the trigger stainless, the safety select is stainless. And because the safety select is going to go in this part of the body, which I've masked off here, this is going to stay stainless. I may change this to gold or something. We'll see. This is the part that goes here, like this. So once this is done, I'm going to go back and mask this. I'm going to do this stainless all the way around to the other side as well. This, it's been masked because I'm going to fill these channels with the bronze. And that'll give this some more depth right here. So just kind of playing around with it. This is going to be bronze. I think I'm just going to do the grip black, and then I might sink these two pieces here and here in like gold or stainless. I haven't figured that out yet. And then this, I think, is going to be the royal bronze, which will basically take it up to this part. And then I may just do the front section in the standard bronze, which is a little bit more of kind of a brownish green bronze. We'll see, kind of breaking up the sections a little bit. And then this is going to probably go with that. I think I'm just going to do it in the royal bronze as well, which is a little bit of a brighter, more metally metal flake type. Anyway, so we're going to do that. I'm going to get started. We're going to go ahead and spray this while this is masked off. Once this is sprayed and dry, then I'll mask off in this line. And that line is very hard to mask, but if you mask right here, when you spray this one, it'll fill it. And then when you go back over and spray black and rub black, it's going to be filling that pretty almost completely black anyway. So that'll give us a nice separation between parts. And I've reached out to Recover to see if I could get the new metal shroud that's right here. They've introduced the new metal shroud for the PIX2. If I can get that, that'll look dope here, but we'll see what goes on. Anyway, on to the next step. All right, so I've got that brighter bronze on here now. And we're going to be masking off here. That's the brace. And I did go ahead and do the switch in the same because I think it's going to contrast better off the silver here. This is just here as my handle. I'll have to take that off and paint it as well when the time comes. We'll do a quick removal of some of this stenciling taping, masking right here. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but give you an idea of what we're looking at. Idea of our separation is going to be. That'll give us kind of a cool blocking there. And then this piece will get the darker, which is a little bit more of a brown. And then, you know, we'll have like safety selector will be in here like that. So I want to do that, a little bit more contrast. Our grip is going to be black, I think. Could change my mind on that. We'll see how I feel about the whole thing once it's all together. But as of right now, that's where we are. We'll keep chugging along. I'll start masking this off and get ready to do the front. Okay, here we are. We are masked and ready to go. Gonna go ahead and do this now. I just wanted to make sure this had time to cure fully before I hit it. I'm gonna use some acetone on it, and then I think I'm just gonna go ahead and do this in the darker bronze instead of black so that it doesn't stick out. I don't know, we'll figure that out. I can always change it, but that's the direction we're gonna go. Gonna hit this up and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we have the other bronze down. I went ahead and did the inside edge so that when it's together and you're looking inside of there, it has some color. So we'll go ahead and peel off all the masking. This will need, I could probably bake this. Could do like 170 degrees. I might bake it like 20 minutes at 170. Should hold up like a Glock frame, same concept. It should hold up under baking, but that would allow everything to cure. Now you can see the difference. It's going to give us some cool color blocking once this is all done. Anyway, so if I bake it, that'll allow me to move on to the next step, because I'm going to be distressing it and going to use a little acetone on it. And I want to make sure that the coat underneath is cured well enough to where it doesn't get damaged by putting acetone, or when I go to do some steel wool to rub, that kind of stuff. And then we're going to be doing a technique that I'm still new at, but I'm going to try it on this one because I think it'll be perfect. And that's going to basically be doing runs of basically dirty acetone. It's going to have black in it, maybe like black bronze, dark bronze, whatever. Do like some runs, like if it's been sitting in weather for a long time. Just going to mix it up. We'll see. Anyway, so that's the grip. I think I feel better about the grip being that color, which gives us, I think it's better than being black. We'll see. This piece here turned out pretty good. So the one thing that I usually do if there's stuff sitting on top is I'll go back and I'll hit the top with some acetone. This one, the lines came out really clean, so I don't think I'm going to need to. I think I'm going to leave it as it is. This is going to be the piece that goes across here, like this. It goes in this way, so that's going to wrap across the front. Let's put this bad boy together for a second. So it wraps across like that. So that's going to look cool. And then ultimately what we'll do is I'm going to take this and tape this off. That's my next step. That's going to get silver, and then I'll do the same thing. That'll get silver. We're going to make the mag release silver as well. And if I had the pick rail up front, I think the pick rails would look good, and silver also. Possibly gold. Actually, you know what? We might do that in gold, because I'm going to have a couple of small accents in gold. There you go. That's kind of getting the look for it right there. That's kind of where we're at. Next steps are going to be distressing it so that it's got a nice clean finish. This piece will go back here. We're going to do this in gold, which will play off of that, I think. So the whole look, hopefully, will be pretty cool. Hope you're liking it so far. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. This kind of stuff typically does not get monetized, because even though it's not actually a firearm, YouTube will dub it as such, and I'll get penalized for it. So there we go. Okay. Yet another stage and layer of masking and whatnot. Got a little shot here on the grip, little spot here. These are just to kind of tie in all the accents. We also have the Varigold buffer tube. So take the masking off of all of this, and then we'll be ready to, from here, pretty much ready to start the distressing process. So yeah, we'll pull all this off. I'm not going to have you sit here through the whole thing, but we'll do that and get back, and I'll show you what it looks like before we start the distressing process. All right, so I just want to take a pause in between here. I was going to show you. You can sort of see just on the outer line, you see how the extra gold is there. That's to be expected because the masking is so tight. So that's where we use a little bit of acetone and a Q-tip, depending on the situation. And we just go take off that excess gold. So I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so there's not much, and the goal is to make it as little as possible because you don't want to have a lot to deal with. You just want a little extra that you find. You come in, you wipe that edge off. And that's it. That's it. We're just rubbing that off. And the rest of that is just adhesive from the tape, which we'll rub off with some mineral spirits. So then we'll do down here. Get a little of the silver off the edge. And here's not bad at all. It's just a little to clean up the edge. So when we do our distressing, it looks better, it looks more finished. And that's it. Gives us a nice tight edge. And you can see here I got the sticky stuff from the tape. We'll get all that off. Do the rest of it and carry on. All right, we got some parts with some black sprayed into it. Now a lot of times I would use steel wool, which just use like a Quad-O steel wool. You can also use like a Brillo pad or not, well, careful on the Brillo pad. Anything that, depending on the kind of paint you're using, you can remove that top paint, get a bunch of different kinds of distressing options. I'm actually going to be using acetone because of the kind of look that I'm going for. I'm hoping this will play into it. Now I'm going to try a couple things I've never done before, but ultimately I want to leave a certain amount of paint on there just to kind of give it a feel that this paint's been dirtied up, and it's going to leave some stuff down in the cracks and crevices. That's really the look I'm going for. So I want to have like bits and pieces left over, as if almost like, you know, if you're ever working on a car and there's oil or whatnot that's left on there after you've wiped it off, kind of get that feeling. And so we're going to do that all over. I don't necessarily need to distress this whole bar, but sort of a completionist in that way. So why not just do the whole thing? So when you open it up, it looks like it was part of the project. Anyway, so yeah, that's that. So we're just going to go through and knock this stuff out. And then as we go, we're going to be trying a couple of other different distressing techniques that I'm going to have to experiment actually on. And I'll show you a little bit about what it looks like. And I'm going to be creating some runs. This is a grip I was just experimenting on, creating the runs and getting this look. This is a look I saw somewhere a while back by a guy named Michael. He works with Blown Deadline. He's probably one of the best I've ever seen. I can't duplicate his work exactly, but the inspiration that I've gotten from his work is beautiful, so I highly recommend you check him out. He doesn't do any like how-tos, which, you know, I can understand why. He's amazing and works in a shop that is extremely busy. But I'm always learning and trying to figure out new ways to do stuff. And if you're here watching this, you're probably doing the same thing. Or you just love my sultry, beautiful voice. Whichever works best for you. But I'm glad you're here and kind of on this little journey. Always figuring stuff out. I don't do a lot of actual firearms on YouTube because YouTube doesn't appreciate the Second Amendment. And that's kind of the way our social media world is going right now. So working with what I got. So I can do this and goat guns, but I stopped doing firearms because things keep getting kicked and removed and all that. So this hopefully won't get removed. You just never know, though. So you see, as I run the acetone, it leaves a settling in there. Whereas if you use like steel wool, it'll leave the high points, but it also leaves like a certain kind of scrubbed off look. It's a different kind of look, and it works. And I've used it many times in many projects. But I really have gotten to where I kind of like this look a little bit, the way that it leaves the leftover behind, because it really looks like over the years you've tried to wipe it off or whatever, and this is what's been left over. So it feels in some ways a little bit more natural to me. But there you go. That's that. There's some parts. We're going to get moving on some of the bigger parts, and I'll do those as we go, and we'll start the next step. So far, get an idea of what the distressing does. It's hard to see as much detail in the camera, but hopefully you can kind of see where we're at here. We've got, obviously the Glock will be sitting in here, so that section will be black. But yeah, lots of little detail in there. The next step, we're going to do some speckling on it, and going to try to do the runs and see how it turns out. Now, when I'm doing a new technique, like I said, I'm always experimenting to see how it's going to look on something else. This just happens to be one that I've already Duracoated, so I can experiment with that. I will likely try it on these smaller parts. So if I've got to repaint something, it's a solid color mostly, easier to fix if I need to go back and fix it if I'm just like, I hate it. So just keep that in mind. If you are trying something new, try it on a small part first. I highly recommend using PMags and stuff like that to practice on, because they're small, they're easy to fix. If you screw them up, it's not even a big deal. You just throw them back in the safe and throw some rounds in them. But anyway, here we are so far. I have to let this dry completely because the next step is going to include runs, and if I do runs, it'll mess up what I already have. So I'm going to do this in stages. So we'll be back for that, and we're almost ready to wrap her up. All right, so I went ahead and added some more accents in. These will still need to be distressed. We'll go ahead and set some stuff up for some matching parts, and this will give us a little bit more of a finished look. And I went ahead and wanted to do this in stainless because you'll be able to see it through the holes in there, which I think will look really slick. And then the comp, which is this comp I got specifically for this one, it sticks out about yay far. So when we're fully assembled, you'll be able to see all that. And then a couple of accents for the optic, just so that everything coordinates well. So we'll get these distressed, and then once these are done matching up like these, we're going to go with some speckling, and then I'm going to attempt to do the runs and hopefully don't screw that part up. But otherwise, we're wrapping it up. We're almost there. So I got the speckling done yesterday, so it's had time to sit and cure. Kind of see it adds accent. I think speckling's not for everyone, but I really like it when I'm doing distress stuff. So everything's got a little speckling on it. I didn't go too much, just a little, give it some extra. Now we got a little acetone, just some regular combat black. I'm literally just going to put a tiny little bit in here. All I'm trying to do is make the acetone dirty. I stir that up, get an idea. See, it's just dirty. Just dirty. That's all I want, because I don't want it to be super crazy. Now here's the interesting thing to know. Well, let's say hypothetically I drop a couple of these drops on here and I'm like, oh my god, I really hate this. I can then I could technically then go back and wipe it off just like I did originally, and it should be fine. So in case of emergency, wipe that shit off. All right, so I have this little dropper, and if I get just literally just a couple of drops is all I want. And we're gonna start by adding some drops. And then I'm gonna blow down on it. Get a little bit here. So all I want is some runs. It dries really fast, so it's just going to give us a light extra running in there. Can you see that in the light okay? Cool. So we're going to do that. And of course, the darker you make it, the more you can. So I can always go back and add a little bit more, but for now, just adding a little in here at a time. So I'm blowing on it for a couple of reasons. One, I want to spread it down, and the acetone dries really fast. So then all I have is the leftover bits of the run. And I was debating on making it darker, but I think I kind of like it very subtle like this. See if I can get this to run. It's probably funny I'm blowing right in the camera. No idea what that's going to sound like afterwards. Anyway, yeah, there you go. So I'm just getting the runs in there. They're going to be subtle, just adding to the overall look, worn look that I'm after. So I'm going to get that going on the rest of these parts. And when I'm done with this, I should be ready to just get it all officially fully assembled, and we'll be done. Okay, let's finish putting this thing together. So I did all the runs, and I quite like it. Pretty happy with the overall turnout. It definitely gave me that well-used, grimy look that I was going for. So we just have a couple of pieces here. We need to get the safety selector back in. And earlier I mentioned that I was going to probably polish this, and I did. I just took some fine sandpaper and just smoothed it out. And it's not a really big deal either way, but I thought it might be nice to give us a little bit of a smoother function to it. So see if we can't get this C-clip put back in there. I'm gonna try and tear everything up I can in the process. Probably should have done this while it was still in two pieces. All right, so we get our pliers. We'll clip that in, just like that. Nice and easy. Oh yeah, that's nice and solid, but nice and smooth. That's what I want. Cool. That's it. Throw the grip in. And if you haven't seen the grip install on this, I mean, you know, you guys I'm sure have installed an AR grip before, but a lot of people have asked me in the last videos that I've posted about this if a regular grip will fit. And yeah, a regular grip will fit. This is a standard AR grip that I'm using now, even though it's a funky looking one. There's just a bolt that goes in there. You know, it's a plastic frame, so the bolt gives it something to really lock onto. And then you just put your bolt in there. This is actually the one that came with it. And I'm gonna use my longer driver because I think that's gonna make my life a little bit easier. And you just wanna make sure you get a good torque. Your grip's on there solid. And then give this a little install piece here, so our Glock will go in there like yay. Just to make sure, I always check and clear, no mag, we're good. So that goes in like that. Close it up. I forgot to install this part here. So we go all the way to the first one, like that. There we go. Clip, clip, clip. Now you can see why I did the slide too. I think it looks really great through there. And this comp sticks out. So I got this comp intentionally for the barrel that I have to make sure that all the blast goes out past this. One, it makes it safer. Two, it also makes sure that all of the blast doesn't get on the inside of this, which keeps it cleaner as well. And of course it's comp, so it's nice. So far that's it. So that's basically the main part. And we're gonna put the soon to be illegal brace on it and make sure it's straight. We'll get that tightened down. And I don't know if you guys are following the current ATF debacle, but in this particular situation, you would just typically make this adjusted to where you want it to fit you for your length of pull. Great cheek weld, slide it all the way in. There's an alternative that I'm looking at, which is going to give a cap, just literally a cap for this. So might have this set aside rather than running the full buffer tube, which you obviously don't need. You could just run a cap on here and run it as a shorter pistol. That's also a really great option. In a video before, I was talking about using this thing right here. And I use this for a couple of reasons. One, it's a small riser, so it replaced the riser I was using for my optic, but it gives a nice extra support and consistent support. I just gotta lay it in here. It goes all the way across the bridge here. Lock that in. So my optic will sit more flat and more consistent, because this piece does have a little bit of flex to it. So this will allow the whole thing to be a little bit more solid, which means that when you go to do your reloading of your pistol later, taking things out, taking apart to clean it, all that kind of stuff, it'll keep your optic a little bit more consistent. So it just kind of now just adds to the look of the whole project. Then we'll put our optic on there, find the right bit for that guy. This little AT3, it's not bad. It's pretty solid little red dot for the price. Not too expensive at all, and so far it's been nice and consistent. Plus, I'm also considering the fact that I'm using on a 9mm versus like an AR or 308 or anything like that. So as far as consistency is concerned, should hold up just nicely. So there we go. That is our whole build. I'll throw up some finished pictures. Love to know what you all think, if you like it. PIX is definitely a controversial item. Some people love it, some people hate it. But there you go. Mechanical safety is great. Mag release, good to go. Mag drops right out with no problem. So there she is. She's finished up, ready to go. Love to know your thoughts in the comments. Please like, subscribe, and let's get a conversation going on about the PIX. The second gen is released, and the new metal guard hopefully will be available soon. And if it is, I'll probably add it into this build. Thanks for watching. Peace.